Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Buzzard Roost saddle. Okay, so I want to give my opinion on the Buzzard Roost saddle. I used this saddle pretty much all year exclusively, didn't use really any other saddles. Till the very end, I switched to a different saddle, which I'll be doing a review on it. It's back here. It's the Tethrd Lockdown. But I wanted to give my opinion on the Buzzard Roost saddle. So I made a little pros and cons list I'm going to be looking at over here off to the side. So if you see me going back and forth, it's pretty much just reading off the paper to my pros and cons. So I guess I'll start with the cons first and maybe start with the pros and move on to the cons. First off, I'm going to state that this saddle right here is a size regular, and that comes in at $271.99. I think at the time when I bought this, I think the prices may have went up. I feel like I remember spending like $249.99, so they might have went up. So, but right now, as of this recording, which is March 19th, it's $271.99. They offer a open or closed bridge, and you can choose which way you want to pull, like to adjust. So if you're wearing it right size, you'll be right. You can select right, you'll be adjusting it with the right. If you select left, you'll be adjusting it with the left. That's no extra cost. Now they do make an open bridge. I never seen one, or I didn't select that option because it's an extra $22, and to me stepping through is not that big a deal. So if you do want an open bridge to go with this saddle, you can. It can come with the saddle, which is like, I don't see many other companies doing that, so that's pretty cool. But for me, I didn't want to spend the extra $22, so I got it with the closed bridge. And it comes in 4 sizings. You can look at it. I'll probably pop it up somewhere. I'll put them all right here. 4 sizings. This one's a regular. I think they make small, regular, large, and an extra large. I'll put the sizings with all the weight sizing with the sizing, if that makes sense. But you can also check that out on their website. And they weighed the regular, and they got it at 2 pounds. I'm not gonna weigh it. It's pretty heavy, but not too heavy, if that makes sense. It feels like just about the size or weight of any regular other like saddle, especially a 2-panel one. This one could be a little bit more on the heavier side because it has all these knots on it, and then this rope tender for the bridge, and then all the plastic clips. So it could be on the little heavier side. I can see that happening. It's not too heavy, especially if you wear it in, and you don't feel like you're really wearing it. I'm going to start with the pros. So my pro, after using it all season, when you get it adjusted, it is one of the most comfortable saddles you can sit in. But getting it adjusted is very difficult, and it seems like it either loses adjustment, or every time you sit in it, you have to readjust it to get it comfy. But if you get it set up perfectly to you, it's actually a very comfortable saddle, and you can sit multiple hours with it. So the second thing that I really loved about this is the bridge adjustment. The way they have this set up with the rope, and then with the tender on it too. I'm telling you now, there is not a better saddle on the market that has an easier way to adjust the bridge. The tender that they have and the rope, it glides really nicely along a carabiner. Couldn't remember. But it glides really nicely across the carabiner. I even tape my carabiner, still slides perfectly. So if you're a guy that tapes your carabiner, the rope still works perfectly fine. And it's a smaller one. I think it's an 8mm, could be 9. I'm pretty sure it's 8 though, because it's super small. But this way that you can adjust this bridge is the best on the market. I'm going to tell you that now. I've looked at and have owned quite a few saddles, and it's all pretty much the same thing. A Prusik knot on, what is that stuff called? Whatever this type of rope is. I can't remember what this rope is. Whatever this rope is. Hamskea. There we go. It's all pretty much Hamskea, and it kind of is not great. So I like the rope because it's so much easier to adjust. It's nice. Get out. There we go. Go. The third thing. So the first thing is when you get it comfy, or when you get it adjusted right, it's really comfy. Second thing, probably the best thing, is the adjustment on the bridge is really, really nice. Best on the market. Then the third thing that I like is it can be customized to whatever you want it to be. So I've seen people, this one's just a regular brown one. They make 2 different shades of brown, but I think one actually kind of went out of stock. But when I bought it, they had 2 different browns. They have this light brown, and then my old saddle was actually a darker brown. This is actually a different one. And then my dad had this lighter brown one too. but you can customize it to whatever you want. I know that right now I saw on their website they have it in like the old school camo, or not old school, it's tree bark. God, I can't even think of what the camo is. But you can get it customized to whatever you want. I've seen people send in Sitka, like clothing, and then they sew it right on the panel. So like this brown part right there, you see how it's like the lighter brown? It'll be Sitka camo, like made out of clothing. Now, mostly I've seen is FeatherLite stuff. They have, and I think they did a collab with FeatherLite, or it's just a lot of people sending in clothes. But you can pretty much have it all decked out in FeatherLite camo. It'd be legit clothing from them. They even make thumb pouches that you can customize to the same camo, which is really sweet. They do like the stitching colors. Like I've seen, I think a woman, she got hers in like black and pink, so all the stitching was pink and stuff. The customization is really cool. Now, with that, it goes up. Obviously, I didn't get it customized, so I don't know how much that cost, but with the customization, it does cost more money, but it's a very unique saddle that you can customize to yourself. And then the other thing, I'm not gonna go through all the kits, but they sell some kits on there, like almost every other saddle company does, but it's pretty sweet that they do it, and most saddle companies do it. So you can buy a kit that's saddle with the lineman rope and a tether, all in one, so it's pretty much ready to hunt. You can buy that with dump pouches, so then you're really ready to hunt. Or you can even buy it with everything, saddle, lineman rope, and tether with a platform. So then you're like, you got everything. All you need is sticks to go hunting. You have a platform, you have the saddle, you have the dump pouches, you have the lineman rope and a tether. All you need to buy is sticks, or their platform is not really a platform. They make a platform, but they have like, it's like a one stick. So it's pretty much like a one stick setup, but obviously you wouldn't want to tether, or like the same tether or linesman. You'd want to have the rappelling rope, and that's all I'm not gonna get into because I don't know much about one sticking, but they do have that if you're interested in that. With the different, saves you a little bit of money going through the kits, which is pretty sweet that they do that. Fourth or fifth thing, I can't remember, I'm losing count now, but they have I think they call it the Raptor buckles. You can see right here, it's just like a metal buckle. Hopefully you can kind of see that, but it's just a metal buckle that snaps in, and it has the wings on it, so it's nice and easy to grab. You push in, grab them, and then pull out. Yeah, it says Raptor, but I've always heard them called as Cobra buckles, but I like this one because it's smaller than the ones that I've seen on other saddles. I can't even, my Tethrd one's a smaller one too, but I swear the old saddles, maybe all companies are going to newer style, but they're kind of bigger and bulkier. Actually, my Tethrd one's even smaller than this one, so. But what they advertise this as, and also you can kind of hear, it's kind of, this is a brand new one. It's like kind of squeaky, which is, I mean, I guess not that big a deal, but you can kind of hear when it goes in there, it's like the springs are kind of squeaky. But you can adjust this this belt, so you can either have it sitting right in front on your pelvic bone pretty much, or you can have it off to the sides on like closer to your hips, because both these sides are adjustable. So you can see like on this one how it came out of factory. It's almost sitting more to the right than it is center, but you can adjust it out to the left side too. So you can have it sit in front or left or right closer to your hips. My final thing is their customer support is like, their customer service is amazing. Now, I've only had to use them and Tethrd. They're both about the same. Tethrd has a great customer support too. With Tethrd, I've had to, I don't know if I've actually covered this in a video, but if y'all have watched if you watch the X2 video of the sticks that are like the best sticks on the market for the price, I compared them to my Tethrd One Sticks. In that video, they were squeaking real bad. Well, I contacted Tethrd and they actually sent me brand new sticks. I sent one stick in because I think it was the roll pin that was making it squeak, and actually my step was kind of wiggling. So I sent in that one stick and they sent me 3 brand new ones. Like I only sent in one and they sent me 3, and the other ones are just fine. But this one, I got a hold of their customer service. One, because when I bought Dad's saddle, we got him the actually the kit with the lineman belt and the tether, and they didn't add in the tethered or the lineman belt into the box. So I got a hold of them and they got it shipped the same day as I talked to them, and it was like next day shipping, so we got it the next day, the tether and the lineman. And it was quick and easy to contact them. They're all over Facebook, so if you're in any of the classifieds to buy saddle gear and stuff like that, one, I suggest you get in there, just be careful of scams. But you can find a lot of used gear cheaper on there. So if you're not in one of those classifieds, I suggest getting into it. They're all over those classifieds, making sure like if someone has a concern with the saddle itself, they try to resolve it. So they actually kind of go out of their way to try to resolve problems instead of having customers come to them, which is sweet. I know someone asked what they thought about the saddle, and I told them my opinions, and I had one of the Buzzard Roost guys come out and talk to me and tell them that they're trying to resolve some of the problems, and I thought I had a sizing issue, so they sent me another saddle free of charge to get a better sizing, which I think was correct. I think the old sizing wasn't correct. Just saying, their customer service is top notch. I mean, it's just as good as Tethrd. It's probably easier to get a hold of Buzzard Roost guy than it is Tethrd, but Tethrd's really great. Like, I've never had any problems with them either. That's really all on my cons. I mean, my pros. It's a great saddle. It's about the same range as any other really top-notch saddle if you're gonna go that way. I mean, XLP sells a cheap one, but if you want a top-notch one, this one's a good saddle. Now let's go into my cons. So they list this as a pro, and I don't think it's a pro. When I first started off this video saying it might be heavy, these balls right here is so much stuff going on. You can kind of see that right there. It's two big Prusik knot, Amstel Prusik knots, and that's how you adjust the bridge or the back. The two panels, like, you adjust them separately with these two things. Now, they are very hard. One, you can almost not adjust them, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but in my opinion, I used it all year, and even throughout the end of the year, after multiple dozens on dozens of sets, it did not get any easier to adjust the balls on this thing. It's just so hard to pull. Like, even right now, I mean, this is a brand new saddle, but it's so hard to adjust these things to get them to move right and get it comfy. And that's on both sides. Again, it could be user error, but I'm just gonna let y'all know, my opinion, they were very hard to adjust and move, especially when sitting in it, and it did not get any easier throughout the season, which I figured it might would. It might like loosen up and get easier to move. To me, it did not get any easier, and it's a major drawback to me, how hard these were to move. And I don't think there's really much they can do, because this is like, their thing is that you can adjust them independently, but to me, I didn't like it that much. I wasn't a big fan. My next thing, and this is one of the worst things about this saddle, is the leg straps. Now, I have them on this for now, so I can kind of show you how they work, but this is like the full leg strap. You can see it has like a little loop right here, then a like G-hook, I guess you can call it, and then it's ran so your leg will fit through this hole. But you run the leg strap through this that's on the saddle, like this little, it's sewn onto it. You run it through there, then you use the G-hook to hook that loop that's in the webbing back around itself. It's not good. It's terrible. It's actually probably the worst on the market. It's just uncomfortable. This thing right here, and they make it to where it's not attached. It's you can attach it or not attach it. I'm assuming because it's easier to produce, because people might not want ones attached and some people do, so it's easier just to make it where you can do it yourself at home. But see how this ball sits right here? Let me see if I can get that. See how this ball sits? Yeah, right there. This right there. That will rub against the back of your legs while walking, or even sitting in the stand, like sitting in the stand, I guess. It rubs the back of your legs, it hurts, it's very uncomfortable. The leg straps itself is super hard to do because you gotta run them through that loop and then hook it back to the loop, and it's not good. Now, when they reached out to me saying, when I was telling that person in the comments my concerns, they did reach out to me and said that they are changing the leg straps, which is amazing because this is already a great saddle. There's a few things that they need to adjust on it to make it better, but for them to listen to their customers and go on that they're already stating that the legs, they didn't like them and they're already changing them, which is a pretty cool little thing that they're listening to their actual customers and wanting to change. When I did buy this saddle at the beginning of the year, I already knew, like the beginning of the season, I already knew the leg straps were terrible when I first got them, and when I called them to get Dad's lineman belt and tether, I'm like, yeah, these things ain't great. They're very uncomfortable, they're hard to use, and I like running leg straps because I think it keeps the saddle down instead of having the saddle right up on me, so I'm a leg strap kind of guy. I know a lot of people aren't. So it was kind of a bummer to me when these weren't that great. So I already talked about the weight, 2 pounds-ish. I didn't compare it to other saddles. I might just pop up a thing here, like just compare it to a couple of those 2-panel saddles like the Cruiser. cruiser one. I think it's the Arkin or whatever they want to call it, and maybe the Method. I think the Method's probably lighter, but I'll put the pounds of those right here, so compare it to 2 pounds, but it's a little bit on the heavier side, I'm assuming, because obviously the AM steel balls, they have 2 on each side, the Prusik tinder. But again, like I said earlier in the video, if you're wearing it in, or even if you have it on your backpack, it doesn't feel like you're wearing much. It's just, it is on the heavier side, in my opinion, compared to the other saddles that I've worn. The Molly loops, so the Molly loops right here, they're tight. This one didn't send it looser, but even on my old saddles, or my old saddle and my dad's saddle, I sent a message, because you can send them messages when they're building your saddle. And I asked them if they can make the Molly loops a little looser, like so you can easily stick things in here. Like I put Night Eyes gear ties and stick just a bunch of random stuff. So I wanted them to be a little looser, and they still weren't that loose. See, I can barely fit my pointer finger in there. Like that's all the farther I can go. Some people, it might not be a big deal. It's not a big deal to me. It's one of those things. If I'm nitpicking, I would like the Molly loops to be a little bit looser, in my opinion. But, and I think you can ask, I might be wrong on this, but I think you can ask to have Molly loops put down here on the second panel. But as of this saddle, the only Molly loops that I have is on this top strap piece right here. Kind of hindering the amount of Molly loops, but most saddles are like that too. Then, just like most saddles, I'm not going to really put this as a con for the saddle. I don't even have it wrote down, but Tethrd has done a nice job about this. That's why I want to put it as a con, but most saddles like this. The Molly loops don't really wrap around your hips as far, so you can't have your pouches up kind of in front of you. And it's kind of annoying. You have to like reach back or look back. And Tethrd has done a thing where they've moved the straps, or the Molly pouches, which these ain't pouches, they're like their own zipper thing, which I'll do if you guys want to see a review. It won't be an in-depth review because I haven't used it that much. But I can do a review on the Tethrd lockdown saddle if you want to see it. That's why I don't really want to put it as a con, because most saddles like this. I think saddle companies are just not moving into moving the dump pouches forward. Now the number one problem, I think, in my opinion, is the leg straps, which they're already improving on. And the number 2 problem, and I really thought that this was not going to be a problem for me, and I knew that going into buying this saddle, but it turned out to be a little bit more annoying than I thought it would be, is not having its own dedicated loops for the tether, or the linesman belt. So like, you know, on other saddles, I should have just pulled my, I'm just gonna pull it out real quick, it's all tangled up. But just like, so here's the Tethrd lockdown saddle, and this thing has everything I need into it, so it's kind of heavy. But see how the Tethrd, so this is the bridge loop, then this is its own dedicated loop for the linesman belt. So if I come over here, you can see my linesman belt is right here, green one, and then right here is its own bridge loop. I did not think it was going to be that big of a deal to me, because I just didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. It was kind of annoying, to be honest, not having its own dedicated loop, because your linesman belt would always get wrapped around your rope on your tether, or the rope on your bridge, and then, or your bridge would get wrapped around on the rope on your linesman belt, and it pulling against this while you're trying to, like if you had your linesman belt around a tree, and then you're going to hook up your tether, your bridge would get pulled tight because you're around. It was super annoying. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think it was gonna be that big a deal, but maybe seeing them have their own dedicated loops for the linesman belt, just so it's kind of out of the way of the old dedicated loops, yeah, for the linesman belt, so it's kind of out of the way of the bridge, would be kind of maybe a nice feature in the future. That's one of those things, like, I didn't see too many people on YouTube when I went into looking for a saddle, or looking at this saddle, that not many people mentioned. They just kind of blew over it too. And it could not be a problem to you guys, but for me, it was really, really annoying not having its own dedicated loop, just like other saddles. And I think the best saddle that does it is Cruiser, because they make them stiff. So when you throw your linesman belt around and then you have the carabiner, you don't even have to like two-hand it. It's like this, its own thing is stiff, so you can just hook the carabiner around without having to, you can just hook it, if that makes sense. And they paint, they didn't paint, but they have like orange webbing on the inside so you can see it at night. Like those kind of little details right there is what separates a good saddle from a great saddle to a perfect saddle. But hopefully, maybe even someone at Buzzard Roost sees this, and maybe they might consider some of these changes. I know they already are changing the leg strap, but maybe even adding its own dedicated, and maybe even having it where it's separate, where you pay a little bit more to have its own separate dedicated linesman belt loops. But I think that's pretty much it on this pros and cons video. I know I'm not sitting out in the woods, sitting in it and all that, but I wanted to sit inside and really give my honest opinions and thoughts on it. Like really take a deep dive on this saddle and let y'all know what I liked and disliked about it. I'm gonna leave it there. I wanna say thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for supporting. I know I haven't posted in the last month or so. My YouTube has been kind of messed up on the AdSense side, so I was trying to get that all organized and set up because I didn't want to really post any videos and not get ad revenue off it, because that's what helps buy these saddles to do reviews on them for y'all. So again, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for support. If you can, please leave a like. Please hit the subscribe button, and please leave down in the comments maybe some other saddles you want me to try, or maybe your thoughts on this Buzzard Roost saddle if you sat into it. But again, thank y'all for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.